Hi guys, it's the Black Bonsai guy, and I'm back here again today to talk to you about pruning. Um, Pruning is an important topic when you're growing things in the ground, and also when you're growing things, especially in containers. When you're growing in containers, the roots of a particular plant typically are constrained. So what you want to do is you want to get the maximum bang for your buck by doing pruning. And the reason you do that is because here's an example right here. This is a mulberry tree, and as you can see down here, just make sure you guys can get in there. Let me pause and get closer. As you can see right here, the tree is starting to make a Y, and on some plants, certain plants, this Y is detrimental because as fruit gets on it, it's going to start to weigh that branch down, and eventually it'll snap. So you want to prune to make sure that your tree is growing in the right manner. Now this is a mulberry tree. These are rapid growing trees. Everywhere you see branches, I'm gonna have fruit next year whenever this thing fruits out. So I'm not gonna cut this one back, but I just wanted to show you an example of why you would do pruning. And I'll take you to a tree that needs to be pruned now. All right, here's an example of a tree that needs to be pruned. This is a fast growing tree. I'll leave the name of the tree in the description of the video so that you know. I can't pronounce it. I'm not gonna mess it up. It's a Spanish name. But as you can see, this tree flops around in the air, and eventually, if I let it grow on, let it continue to grow in that direction, it'll just get too heavy, fall to the ground, and or snap. So what I'm gonna do now is probably gonna make a few folks cringe, but it's critical that you do this pruning right now so that the tree can be successful in the future. So generally what you want to do is you just want to stand next to the tree, and right at your hip level, you want to make a cut. You want to make a cut right above a node. Took all that off. Now you may be saying, why did you just cut your tree in half like that? This is what I remove, and you can stick this back in ground with some rooting hormone and get cuttings from it. Now I'll do that. Let me just put this to the side. But what's going to happen, let me get closer here, let me pause. What's going to happen is you're going to see, and it's already starting to do it right now, you're going to see this particular cluster of leaves. They're going to form into be branches. I have two of them right here and one below it. As these form out and become branches, I'll train them to grow at 45-degree angles, because I don't want the tree to go tall. It's in a pot, and because it's in a pot, it can't go too high, because if it gets too high, then you have to get on a ladder to get your fruit. This is a fruiting tree, by the way, and I don't want to get on the ladder. So instead of having it grow up, I want to have it to grow out. So what's going to happen is I will train these leaves that you see coming off the trunk to be branches. They'll grow out. It'll start shooting out branches in different directions. Generally, every time you make a cut on a plant, and I cut that flat, you can cut it at a 45-degree angle. It's not going to hurt it. Every time you make a cut, the tree is going to respond by either back budding or sending out either two or more branches. And when those branches come out, you want, depending on how many branches you have, of course, if you have 3 branches, you want to grow them in a pyramid style. So you have one branch this way, one branch that way, one branch that way, and you let those grow out. And then you make the same type of cut, and you keep repeating that process until you get to second levels. So I'm gonna pause for a second and show you a mango tree that I cut and made this using this same process. Give me a second. All right, here's a mango tree that I made that same cut and the tree has responded. See, I have, let me get a little higher so you guys can see. Hold on. All right. So as you can see in here, killing myself today. There we go. That apartment is windy out here and I just hit it. The tree has responded by sending out multiple shoots at that location where I cut. So this is where I cut it. See the 45-degree angle? And it sent out this leaf here, sent out this leaf here, and it sent out this leaf in this direction. So what'll happen is, let me show you what we do. Remember our spacers. What we can do now, if it's long enough, it's not long enough, but maybe after another month, we can put that spacer in there and we can start parting these branches. You see how that'll be? It's a little too premature right now. Give it about a month so this side can grow out more. And then we can start separating those branches to grow at that 45-degree angle. So we'll have one growing at a 45 this way, one growing at a 45 this way, and one coming at a 45 towards the camera. So this tree that I just cut over here in the bottom is going to do the same thing. You just got to give it time. We should see a response on this probably within a month or so. And basically what you would do is, let me pause. You would let these grow out, right? These will come out to be their own branches. And then when they get to a certain distance, you will make the same type of cut. The tree will respond and give you 2 or more branches, and you branch off from there. So now you have multiple areas where you'll have leaves. The more leaves you have on a plant, the better chances you have for photosynthesis, and that's how the plant actually makes its own food. I know a lot of times I use the term fertilizer and feeding incorrectly, like most people do, but you don't typically, or you technically cannot feed a plant. You give a plant supplements, which is fertilizer, just like you take supplements as an adult. So just to recap again, let me go back to this one over here. All right, just to recap, we made that cut. Notice, remember it was flopping around in the air. We made that cut at the top. The tree is going to respond by sending out 2 or more branches, and we'll train those branches to grow accordingly. It may send out 5 branches around that the area that we cut. You don't want to keep that many coming off the trunk. The general rule of thumb is 3 or 4. If you keep 4 of them, you want to keep them growing in an X pattern. So you have a branch. Let me get this on camera. In the X pattern, this will be a branch, this will be a branch, that'll be a branch, and that'll be a branch. So if it sends out 4, if it sends out 3, you want to keep it growing in a pyramid fashion. So basically 1 in this direction, 1 in that direction, 1 in that direction. It's hard to describe on camera because these trees are in the process of doing it, but it's a fairly simple concept once you just sit down and draw it out on paper. Another reason you prune is because this branch, same thing in bonsai, this trunk is gonna thicken up because they had a whole bunch of energy and a whole bunch of hormone that was going to the top of this tree that we cut off. Let me just grab it for a second. You know, there's a lot of energy in here, especially up in this first, this new growth within this first 6 to 8 inches. Lots of hormones up there and a lot of growth hormones up there. So what we did was we cut this off. So now the plant is saying, damn, you cut off all of my growth hormone. I got to get busy because I want to grow towards the sun so I can feed myself, right? So it's, the tree's response is, okay, let me shoot out all of these different branches. So it'll shoot out a branch, like I said, here, 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 and you just want to prune them or guide them to be in the direction that works best for your growing condition. Also, while doing that, it's going to thicken up that trunk. That trunk is going to get real thick because all of that energy that was going here that we cut off is now going to be concentrated there. So this trunk line is going to get more rigid, and the more rigid it get, the better it is. Certain fruit, if the branches they just flop around in the air too long or too much, the tree knows this, and it will not send out fruit because it knows that it's not ready to fruit yet. So by pruning, you actually are speeding up your fruiting process because you're making hard wood. The tree is going to be nice and rigid, and it's going to say, hey, you know what? Now I can send out my vegetation because I have the backbone to support it. So by the time you guys see this, if you go to my Instagram page, the Black Bonsai Guy, you'll see a video of, a image of a peach. I just bit into a peach before this video. Super sweet, super juicy, etc., etc. The peach tree that is growing on, the leaves on, the branches on that peach tree are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not rigid. They're flexible. They bend easily in the air. And because of that, I had a couple of fruit that dropped in June and July. And those fruit dropped because the tree knows how much fruit it can bear. And then it knows that based on the rigidness of the branch. If it's too flimsical, it's going to drop that because A, when the wind comes, the wind will just knock most of that off. And B, the tree just knows that, hey, I can't support all of this fruit right now. By doing this, pruning the top half of the branch off, all of the energy is going to be sent to the bottom of the trunk. Well, it's not going to be sent to the bottom of the trunk. All of that energy is going to be focused on sending out new branches. And I think that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Pruning is not that hard. Once you get the concept of it, just remember, everywhere you cut, the tree will respond with 2 or more branches. And then from there, you just want to make sure that those 2 or more branches are growing at the appropriate angle off of the trunk. An appropriate angle is about 45 degrees. Now I got an apple tree, a couple apple trees that's back there. They have the same problem where I'll just take you over there and show you better than I can. All right, so this is the apple tree that I was talking about. Now, if you see this, whoever was grooming this tree, they did the same method. They cut, and I believe they gaffed it on right there. They did some really good gaff lines right there. You really can't tell. Let me get a little closer so you can see. And let's rotate this up a little bit. There we go. So you see you have 4 branches that are coming off right there. And see this branch is coming off of one of the 4. The proper way to prune this, almost fell. Good thing y'all didn't see. The proper way to prune this would be to take this off. Right? Because we don't want anything growing back into the tree. This tree is growing very good. I could tell there's probably a lot of nitrogen in the soil. That's why it's sending out these limbs to be so long. And this limb is just too long. It's just too long. Let me take you up, see? Now what you can do, I'm not gonna cut it because I'm gonna move this apple tree against the wall. What I'm gonna do is, let me just rotate here. I'm going to tie my apple tree to the wall, and I'm going to grow it horizontally. So next year, when these buds buzz out, I'm just going to have apples all along here, and I can just go pick. Right? Same thing with this side. Let me get over here. If you see over here, this one I have resting on a tree is just too flimsy. Just too flimsy, right? This is a case of you giving your trees good fertilizer. You're giving them too much fertilizer, probably. Well, I shouldn't say too much fertilizer because that implies that I'm overdosing them. But you know, the growing conditions are great for the tree, and it wants to grow. However, it's not putting in that good hardwood like we want, which is not a problem for this tree. Because like I said, I'm going to put it against the wall in this back corner, and I'm going to take this branch, and this branch here is going to run vertically. Horizontally. So imagine on this particular tree, you have branches that run, 15, 25, 35 feet long horizontally. And all you got to do is walk up to the tree and pick your apples here. You don't got to climb on a ladder and do all that crazy stuff. And this branch eventually, either I'll let it stay like that, growing vertically, or maybe I'll do bend it to the left like that and have two rows horizontally. You know, you got a lot of options once you understand what the fruiting tree could do. And if you want to, this is the most dominant rigid branch on this tree right here. If you wanted to, let me pan out so y'all can see it. So this is the most dominant branch right here that I was telling you about. If I wanted to, I could turn these. Let me see if y'all seeing that. Yeah, you can see. I could turn these into horizontal branches too. And I could turn this one into a horizontal branch. And also these. So you can have one layer of horizontal, 2 layers of horizontal, go up a foot or 2, and you have another layer horizontal, another layer horizontal, another layer horizontal. That's how you grow a lot of fruit in a small compacted area. Because the higher you grow, the stronger and the more sturdy you need your trunks to be. And you don't want to spend years waiting for a trunk to thicken up on you, especially when you can go to one of these modified methods to get the same thing done. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I think you guys get the concept. Maybe I'll do a video drawing that out on paper if I get my penmanship up. It's the Black Bonsai Guy. I'm out.